What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. I got a little bit bored and went ahead and started getting things mocked up, but I apologize for it being dark and not being able to see it, but we're going to cut to that where I started actually getting all this mocked up, and we'll get back to this point. Alright guys, we got the drag hatch build pulled up over here. I'm sorry again for it being nighttime right now. No, you can't see it a lot. It's gonna suck taking my custom made exhaust and the plate off of that because that took me a minute. But got to put this thing on jack stands, get the bumper off, see if we can start getting this turbo mocked up on this thing. Well, next time it comes off of these jack stands, it's gonna be making some turbo noises. For those that ain't seen my custom side exit, it's actually a 4 to 2 to 1 instead of 4 and then 1. It didn't come out too bad. That dent is because that part used to be actually ran underneath the car. Cut it, modified right in this area to a single teardrop exhaust. Don't look too bad. Could have did better, but I did. This is my first attempt at ever making an exhaust. This turbo exhaust is definitely going to come out way nicer and way better because that looks super small. I don't know about y'all, but we need like a 2.5, at least 3 inch coming out this bumper with the dump tube. But I think now I'm gonna go ahead and take this header off, go ahead and get that out of the way. Probably go ahead and take the radiator off, drain the radiator hoses. Alright, unhook some hoses. Started getting a lot of coolant out, but just like that, unhooking the harness and the hoses, she's out. And one thing that this helps is now I'll have some hoses to make this work, and I'll have a radiator for the EXO build, so that works out. Alright guys, we got the header off, the radiator off, the hoses off, intake off. Now just letting that drain a little bit, fall into the pan. A lot of room now. We're definitely going to be able to put whatever we want right here. Probably going to grab the exhaust manifold. I do need to put a lot more studs into this or run bolts. Took off this weird looking wire, if y'all seen. It was just a ground wire, but it was loomed, and I don't even know. We're going to be redoing all of the grounds on this thing. One thing I didn't mention in my last video is I do have already a braided clutch line. Do have an inline filter, don't run the stock one anymore. I like the braided clutch line, that just adds to it so it doesn't have to run all the way around and all that. It's better for doing tug bay or something like that, but it's a plus. Look better with all the other braided lines that are going to go onto this thing. Alright, we got the exhaust manifold mounted on there. I was wanting to see, because I seen where some of these log manifolds come where you can't put the dipstick. People had to bend them. And I was wondering if mine was one, but no, thankfully it actually fits perfect. It might get burnt a little bit. Oh well on that, I'm glad that. But the next problem, I'm wondering if I put the intake side over here, exhaust side over here, the exhaust is going to have to come down very close to that unless I bring it up this way. Then go over to this side where I already have the cutout. But I could switch the turbo around, then that would put the intake over here, which would be alright, but the pipe is going to have to come from this side of the intercooler and come to the turbo, and then the exhaust is going to be coming out this side, which would be better for the side exit bumper. But then I've got my hot side running right there next to the cold. That's the one thing that gets me. I'm not sure yet which way I want to put the turbo. Next, before I bore y'all too much with it being nighttime, I'm going to go ahead and drain the oil and probably go ahead and take the oil pan off and start looking for where I want to weld the bung. Might do that tonight just to go and get that over with, because without the oil return, it's not going to be good for this. The oil feed is already taken care of. I have to put that on, but that's easy. let's go ahead and get this hard part knocked out. I want to know, just as bad as y'all do, what this oil looks like. I bet it's black as night. Oh yeah. That looks good. It's not too bad, but yeah, it's black as night. The always great news is no metal flakes in the oil, so that's a plus. Alright, now we'll take this here white marker, draw me a circle after I clean this pan where I'm going to put the bond, take this pan off, probably go ahead and get that drilled out, stick the bung in there, make sure it all looks good to go. Alright, I couldn't help myself. Needed it for mock-up anyways. Like I said in my other video, this thing needs to be clocked like crazy because we have the spout coming out the front right here, and then we got the drain on top. But like I was saying, this would be fine because it'll come down from there, go to the oil pan, the exhaust wrapping around. I think either way I'm gonna have the hot near the cold since I decided to go out this side. If I would have went passenger side, probably would have worked out, or a hood exit would have been perfect, but I don't really want to cut my hood. But pretty much just looking at how my feed line will come up through here, go to the back. This is the thing I was going to get to, is when I turn it around, that's going to put all of this underneath the exhaust manifold. So getting to the feed line is going to be a little bit more difficult. But let's try it out and see what we're looking at. Alright, I just tried it the other way and it will not bolt up because I do need to clock this first because it's already hitting the block and everything. So far it's not looking good, but I'm going to go ahead and clock this thing so we can just try it out and see. But I'm thinking this is probably going to be what I end up doing. Alright, got this thing clocked. Not for being over here. But looks like there's only going to be one way to run this thing, because it's definitely hitting back there. It's dropping all the wrenches. The exhaust side would be perfect. That's the only thing that would be perfect about this. Because if you look down in there, I don't even think y'all are going to be able to see it. Because it's so just, who knows where. We'd have to run down through that little bitty hole. I just don't think that's worth it. I think I'm going to switch it back, and that's the way that we're going to have to run this kit. Because the exhaust would be really nice to run like this, but that makes a whole bunch of other things more difficult. I'd rather just have to custom make the exhaust a little bit different, make it work. I'm going to switch this back, start getting the oil pan taken off, and figure all that out. Alright, got this set back on there. Finally got the top facing upwards, the actual bottom facing towards the ground. This is just how I guess we're going to have to run it. But start mocking up where I'm going to run the feed line down to the oil pan, and I'll take care of that. Be one step closer. Well, while I'm under here fighting with this oil filter, I don't know if you can see, I did replace all of the bushings for the lower control arms on the front. Really don't want to have to stick a screwdriver through this dang oil filter, but might be what has to happen. I know what y'all are going to say, get the tool that's for the filter, but I do have a tool, and of course it's not the right size for that filter. I don't understand why, but that's my luck. Alright, got the oil pan dropped. Everything looks pretty decent. It's pretty dirty, of course. Oil pickup looks alright. But I am going to be checking all the bearings, make sure that they all seem to be good before I put all this back together. But finally got the oil filter off, so that's one thing less. Tomorrow I'm going to be putting the sandwich plate on, go ahead and get that line ran, put the new oil filter on there and get that squared away. Probably go ahead and have this oil pan done. Not coming out too bad so far. Of course, I got a smash banger. Almost got oil in my eye. Just the usual of working on a car. Alright, we got our steel bond, the oil pan. I drew 3 different spots because I didn't want to drill into this little part of the shroud that the oil pan has. Let's get this drilled out. Hopefully we can get it right the first time. Hopefully it turns out good. I'm a little worried on this. Yeah, this should tell you how anxious I am. I already went and grabbed the oil pan, got my hands all oily, when I already had gloves sitting out for that specific reason. But did end up wanting to move my hole just over a little bit, just looking at everything. But drilled me a hole that will help start this, drill this out. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. Which I also think this bit is about had it. Try to get a little bit of this oil in there. Still got a little bit ways to go, for sure. But it's getting there. Not looking too bad so far. Oh, she's very, very close. Very, very close. Alright. This is as big as it's going to be able to go. At least with this bit. Are you kidding me? It's literally perfect fit. Of course, I gotta clean all the burrs off, but spin this around so you can see. Perfect fit. I thought I was going to have to round it out some, but let's get this thing cleaned up. Now I'm going to sand all of that away, get this area cleaned up, get this thing ready to be tacked on. It's about the only choice I have right now because I got a hole in my oil pan now. Just like that. Got that ready and prepped. Trying to get this O-ring off that this thing came with because we are not going to need that. But I'd say that looks pretty dang good. I do need to clean up the back side just a little bit still. But the front side is done. Ready for this to be welded on. Literally perfect fit. I'm stoked about that. Get this dang O-ring off. Now she sits down flat. Perfect. Get this inside cleaned up. Just a little bitty thin piece right there that I don't want left in there. Got it out. But yeah, we're gonna have to clean the crap out of this pan because you do not want none of that metal left in your pan when you put this thing back on. But a little better shot for y'all. Inside looks nice and smooth, no burrs or anything. Outside looks perfect. I am going to go ahead and take this old gasket off because I am putting a new one on because this one is dead. It's not horribly bad, but it's stuck to the oil pan like crazy. But new gasket. I'm gonna go clean this thing out just a little bit at least, so that I'm not getting oil all over the place when I go to try to weld it. Then, once it's fully welded, I'll worry about actually cleaning it super in depth, making sure absolutely no metal, no anything is left in this pan anymore. And then, probably end up shooting it black again, just make everything look a little better. But I'm gonna keep taking this gasket off, which is probably gonna take me 1,000 years because it's just crumbling apart now. Might have to heat it up and do something like that. But get back with y'all once I get most of this off at least and get this oil pan cleaned up. Alright, got the pan cleaned out. It looks a lot better than it did, but still not the final clean. Now, just need to get this thing tacked on. Still need to get this stupid gasket off. I got most of it off, but I'll worry about that after this is tacked on. Put a couple tacks on it. Back out here with this thing. Did take me a little bit to get that oil pan done last night because I had to weld it, let it cool, weld it, and let it cool. But got my braided line out here, sandwich plate, no oil filter. Gonna go and get started on getting all this connected up. Start looking at where my lines are gonna be running for the turbo. So I did go ahead and order an oil pan gasket for this thing. Just gotta wait on it to come in. Other than that, I need a 5-bolt flange so that I can custom make an exhaust, and I need to order the piping. Then this thing will be ready to crank up. Time being, I'm gonna run this belt just to get it running again, but this belt is shot. Probably gonna do a water pump, timing kit, whole 9 on that. Alright, to start with, the sandwich plate comes with these 2 little block offs. We'll wrap them up. Go ahead and get them sealed off. Just put you a little bit on the threads. Now we'll screw down in there like so. 1 block off. This is pretty much kind of like gasket maker, but not gooping it on there because it don't really need a gasket. It just needs to be able to be sealed up. You want to be able to take it out if you ever want to put an extra sensor in here. Those 2 should be good to go. Get all these tightened up. I'm gonna go ahead and put some tape on the feed line. Go ahead and get it screwed in. So we can go ahead and stick this onto the back of the block. Put our new oil filter on. Alright, got a line on there, it's nice and tight. Got our block offs on there, they're nice and tight. Now, let's go sandwich this thing onto the back of the engine. Put our new oil filter on there. Before we get up under there though, did want to mention, it does come with a 3rd one, so if you ever wanted to take your turbo off, you could leave the sandwich plate, not have to take your oil filter back off. You can just screw this into that hole. Comes with these 2 different size ends where you can screw it into your block. This will go against it like that. One of these goes through there, screw into the block, and then your oil filter will go onto this. Out of the 2 that it came with, this is the one that fits the 1.5 M20 by 1.5. Not sure how good I'll be able to film this for y'all, but went ahead and wiped off around where the oil filter goes, wiped off the threads. Let's get this sandwich plate on. Alright, we got the sandwich plate on. Still need to tighten up this nut. One thing I didn't show is I put oil on the rubber seal on the other side so that it'll seal up a little bit better. Also, gave my phone an oil bath while I was at it. Spilled oil all over it, so now my phone's nice and slippery. So that's real nice. But let's get this thing tightened up. I'm gonna go ahead and put the oil filter on there. Alright, finally got that on. was kind of worrying me for a minute because I couldn't get the nut all the way tight, and the sandwich plate was still moving back and forth. So, but luckily I got that all tightened down. Got the oil filter on. Let's get back to the top. Alright, now that we got the old feed line on, it'll come up and over, go straight to here to the turbo. Have to make it look a little better. Now that I got the oil pan already painted, it's drying right now. Got the oil feed ran. I think I'm gonna work on cleaning up this bay. Try to clean up the motor a little bit. Alright, we got the bay cleaned up a lot. It looks way better. Cleaned up the motor some. But got the turbo mocked up. Oil feed line ran. Sandwich plate on. New oil filter. Got the bung welded on the oil pan. It's done. About to get a 5-bolt flange so I can start making the exhaust. I want to make that once I get the piping. So ordering the flange and the piping. After that's here, we'll be able to crank this thing up. Not too much further away. Do need to figure out this part on the turbo, get the oil pan on, make the line for the oil return. That'll be done. It's not far from already being done. We didn't really, I feel like, do that much in this video, but we still got a buttload done. For this ugly valve cover, I will be switching it out with a shaved one I did a long time ago, so that'll make that look a lot better. And to all the subscribers, I really appreciate all the support. Hopefully we can get to 1,000, but this thing is going to be crazy when it's done. I really can't wait. If you like videos like this, make sure you leave a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. There's going to be plenty more. Got the EXO build going right now, starting to work on the mint hatch. The JDM Integra Type R front hatch, that one's going to take a minute because I'm going to do it right with all expensive parts, but we'll get there. I appreciate y'all watching. I think we're going to call the video there. If y'all want to go check out some of my other videos where I'm building the EXO and when I started actually putting the motor back into this, y'all should go check them out. I'll see y'all in the next one.